They told me I wasn't coming for Christmas. They meant it. I'm standing in my cramped studio apartment on East 84th Street, holding their Christmas card like a death certificate. Outside, Manhattan December wind rattles my single-pane windows. Inside, my world just collapsed. The card is expensive. Cream-colored paper, gold-embossed edges. The kind my mother always bought to impress her Upper East Side friends. My hands shake as I read the handwritten message again. Chloe, we weren't expecting you this year. Don't come. We've made other arrangements. Love, Mom and Dad. Other arrangements. I drop into my kitchen chair, the one that wobbles because I can't afford to fix it. Through my phone, I can see their Instagram stories. Their Westchester dream home glowing with Christmas lights. The house I helped them buy. The $847,000 mortgage I've been paying for 3 years while eating ramen noodles in this shoebox. My phone buzzes. A voicemail from Dad. I press play. Chloe. Honey. Your mother and I discussed this. Well, you're not really family material for the holidays. Too dramatic. Too needy. We're hosting the Weatherbys and the Ashfords this year. Important people, you understand. I'm important people. I stare at the bank transfer confirmation on my laptop screen. December 15th. $4,200 sent to their mortgage company. Same day, every month, for 36 months. $151,200 total. My entire inheritance from Grandma Rose, plus every penny I've scraped together working double shifts at the gallery. The irony tastes bitter. I paid for their Christmas dinner. I paid for the table they won't let me sit at. But there's something they don't know. Before we continue with how I turned their own greed against them, I want to thank those of you who support these stories. Your contributions help me share these moments of truth with others who need to hear that betrayal doesn't have to mean defeat. Every share, every comment, every small gesture of support plants seeds of hope for someone facing their own family betrayal. I walk to my window, looking out at the city lights. My reflection stares back a 3-4-year-old woman who just learned she's been funding her own exclusion from the family she thought she was saving. My laptop chimes. An email from their bank. Mortgage payment processing error. Account frozen pending investigation. I smile for the first time in hours. They think I'm too dramatic? Too needy? They haven't seen dramatic yet. I pull out my phone and dial a number I memorized 3 months ago. The number for the mortgage fraud hotline. The one I called when I discovered Dad forged my signature on the loan documents. The one where I filed a report but never pressed charges. Until now, Federal Trade Commission, Fraud Division. Yes, I say, my voice steady as steel. I'd like to report identity theft and mortgage fraud. My parents have been using my credit and social security number without permission for 3 years. The city lights blur as tears I've held back finally fall. But these aren't tears of sadness anymore. That was the moment I knew justice wouldn't come from forgiveness or family therapy. It would come from my own hands, armed with every receipt, every forged document, every lie they thought I'd never discover. Christmas morning, they'll wake up in a house they can no longer afford, wondering how their perfect holiday became their worst nightmare. And I'll be the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future all rolled into one. The silence after their rejection feels like drowning in slow motion. I set the Christmas card down on my kitchen table, the same wobbly table where I've spent 6 years of late nights calculating how much I could send them each month. The math was always brutal. Rent, utilities, groceries for one person living on gallery assistant wages, then whatever was left went to them, always to them. $2,200 every month, for 72 months straight. I pull out the shoebox from under my bed. Inside, bank statements printed on cheap paper, organized by year. Each one tells the same story. Automatic transfer to Westchester Home Help LLC. I'd set it up that way so their neighbors wouldn't know their successful retirement was funded by their struggling daughter in Manhattan. My fingers trace the first statement from 2017. That was the year I turned down the promotion at the Guggenheim. Assistant curator position, $15,000 raise, full benefits. I remember calling Mom that night. "Chloe, honey, we're so proud of you," she'd said, her voice warm like honey. "But timing is everything. Your father's medical bills are overwhelming us. Could you help us just this once? Just this once. The flashback hits me like a punch. I'm 28, sitting in their pristine Westchester kitchen with its marble countertops and designer light fixtures. Mom slides an envelope across the table, her manicured fingers pushing it toward me. Inside, foreclosure papers. Their dream home, the one they'd bought to impress their country club friends, was slipping away. We'd be lost without you, Mom had whispered, her eyes wet with practiced tears. You're our angel, our salvation. I believed her. God help me. I believed every word. That night I went home and called my bank. Set up the automatic transfer. Pulled money from my 401k, my emergency fund. The down payment I'd been saving for my own apartment. All of it flowing to them, month after month, like an IV drip keeping their lifestyle alive while I slowly bled out. I remember the small sacrifices that felt enormous, skipping dinner to afford their mortgage, walking 40 blocks in heels because I couldn't afford subway fare after sending them their monthly check, lying to friends about why I couldn't go out, couldn't travel, couldn't live. The smell of their house comes back to me now, expensive candles and fresh flowers, the scent of money I was sending them. Every Christmas I'd arrive with homemade gifts because I couldn't afford store-bought ones. Every Christmas Mom would hug me and say, "We're so lucky to have you." Lucky. They felt lucky to have their personal ATM dressed up as a daughter. The worst part? The beautiful moments were real to me. Christmas morning 2019, when Dad teared up reading my handmade photo album of our family memories. Mom's birthday last year, when she called me crying because I'd sent flowers to her office, flowers I charged to my already maxed out credit card. I believed that love was real, but it was all performance art. My laptop chimes. A voicemail notification from 3 weeks ago that I'd saved but couldn't bring myself to delete. Mom's voice, bright and cheerful. "Chloe, darling, the most wonderful news. We sold the house to the Pemberton family you know, the ones with the yacht. We made such a profit, we're moving to that adorable condo in Scarsdale. Fully paid for. We don't need your little contributions anymore. We're finally independent." Little contributions. 6 years of my life, $158,400 of my future, reduced to little contributions. The message continues. "Oh, and about Christmas we're keeping it small this year. Just us and our real friends. You understand, don't you? We knew you'd want us to be happy. Real friends." I play it again, listening for any hint of gratitude, any acknowledgement of what I gave up for them. There's nothing. Just the sound of a woman who got what she wanted and no longer needs to pretend. My reflection stares back from my laptop screen. 34 years old, living in a studio apartment with furniture from Craigslist, wearing the same black dress I've owned for 3 years because I couldn't afford new clothes. Also, they could live like royalty and then dismiss me when I was no longer useful. The last domino falls in my mind. Every sacrifice, every skipped meal, every declined invitation, every lonely night in this tiny apartment while they hosted dinner parties in the house my money saved, it was all just an elaborate con game. And I was the mark. My hands are steady now as I reach for my phone. There's one more number I need to call tonight. One more conversation that will change everything. But first, I need them to understand exactly what they've lost. Because if they think 72 months of my devotion can be erased with a Christmas card and a voicemail, they're about to learn how expensive that mistake will be. My hands won't stop shaking as I spread the documents across my kitchen table like evidence at a crime scene. It started with a simple Google search, Westchester property records. I told myself I just wanted to see if they'd really sold the house, but deep down I knew I was looking for something else. Something that would explain why 6 years of my life felt like a lie. What I found made my stomach drop. The house wasn't sold 3 weeks ago. It was refinanced. Again. For the third time since 2018. Each refinance pulled out more equity built with my monthly payments while adding years to the mortgage I'd been secretly covering. I dig deeper into the property records. Purchase price in 2017, $485,000. Current assessed value, $847,000. Loan balance, $650,000. They'd been using my house because that's what it was. My house built with my money as their personal piggy bank. My laptop pings with a new email. A contractor's invoice forwarded by mistake to my email address, the one they'd used years ago for emergency contacts. Pool house installation, marble patio upgrade, wine cellar renovation. Total, $47,000. Payment source, home equity line of credit. The same credit line I'd been unknowingly backing with my monthly transfers. I scroll through more emails that had been misdirected to me over the years. Invitations to charity galas I'd never heard of, RSVPs for country club events. A catering receipt for Mom's 65th birthday party, the party I wasn't invited to because I was working late that weekend. The party that cost $8,000. More than 3 months of the transfers I'd been sending them. My phone buzzes. A text from my neighbor, Mrs. Chen. Saw your parents on Instagram again? That new Mercedes looks expensive. You must be doing so well to help them like that. Help them. If she only knew. I click through to Mom's Instagram. There's the Mercedes, gleaming silver in their circular driveway. Posted 2 days ago with the caption, "Blessed with abundance." The price tag floats through my mind. $85,000. More than half my annual salary. But it's the next post that breaks something inside me. A photo of their Christmas tree, professionally decorated, surrounded by wrapped gifts from Tiffany & Co., Bergdorf Goodman, Saks Fifth Avenue. The caption reads, "Intimate family Christmas this year. Quality over quantity. Number family first. Number blessed and grateful. Family first. The irony tastes like poison. I keep digging, my detective instincts sharpening with each discovery. Bank statements I'd never seen before, retrieved through the financial planning website they'd asked me to set up for emergencies. The same account where my transfers landed each month. But here's what makes my blood boil. Scattered throughout 6 years of statements are purchases that tell the real story. Monthly payments to Elite Senior Services, not for Dad's medical care, but for a personal trainer and nutritionist. Quarterly payments to something called Westchester Social Consulting, a service that helps nouveau rich families navigate high society. They'd been buying their way into the elite class with my working class wages. The final piece clicks into place when I find a property tax assessment from last year, listed as co-applicants on the original mortgage, Robert and Evelyn Morrison and Chloe Morrison. My name, on their mortgage documents, without my knowledge or consent. My hands are trembling as I dial the mortgage company's customer service line. The representative's voice is professionally pleasant as she confirms what I already suspected. Yes, Miss Morrison, you're listed as a co-signer on the account. According to our records, you've been the primary payment source since 2018. Your credit score is actually what qualified them for their refinancing options. My credit, my financial history, my future, all leveraged without my knowledge to fund their fantasy life. I hang up and sit in the silence of my tiny apartment, surrounded by evidence of the most elaborate con job I've ever seen. They didn't just take my money, they stole my identity, my creditworthiness, my financial future, and packaged it all as their own success story. The rage builds slowly, like a pressure cooker reaching its breaking point. Every skipped meal, every declined invitation, every night I'd fallen asleep worried about my own bills while sending them thousands, all of it so they could play wealthy while I played the fool. My laptop chimes again. Another misdirected email, this one from their insurance company. Policy renewal notice for their $2.3 million homeowners policy. Listed beneficiary in case of total loss, Robert and Evelyn Morrison, with emergency contact Chloe Morrison. Emergency contact, not beneficiary, not family, just the person to call when they need something. I screenshot everything, every document, every email, every social media post showing off the lifestyle I'd unknowingly financed. The evidence fills 3 separate folders on my desktop. But it's the last document that changes everything. A pre-approved offer for a reverse mortgage on their property. The kind of loan that would strip away every dollar of equity and leave them with nothing when the bill came due. Except it wouldn't be their bill. According to the paperwork I'd just uncovered, it would be mine. My name on the mortgage meant I'd be liable for every penny they'd borrowed against a house they'd bought with my money. They weren't just spending my present. They were mortgaging my future. The phone in my hand feels heavy as I scroll to a number I'd saved months ago but never used. The financial fraud hotline for the Federal Trade Commission. One call, and their house of cards would collapse. But then a different idea occurs to me. Something much more poetic. They want to play games with mortgages and credit and financial manipulation? They want to use my name and my money to live like royalty while treating me like hired help? Perfect, because I know something they don't. Tomorrow is December 22nd. Their automatic mortgage payment, my automatic mortgage payment is scheduled to process on the 25th, Christmas Day. And I have 72 hours to decide whether that payment goes through or whether their perfect Christmas morning includes a visit from the foreclosure department. My finger hovers over my banking app. One tap to cancel the transfer. One tap to end 6 years of financial abuse disguised as family loyalty. For the first time in months, I'm smiling. They wanted an intimate Christmas with their real family? They're about to get exactly what they asked for. The rage doesn't explode. It crystallizes. I close my laptop and walk to my kitchen counter, brewing coffee with the precision of a surgeon. Tonight calls for clarity, not emotion. Tonight, I plan. I create a new folder on my desktop. When, not if. When. Inside, I organize 6 years of evidence. Screenshots of their social media posts showing off purchases I financed, bank statements proving my co-signer status, email receipts for renovations I unknowingly funded. Each file gets renamed with military precision. Evidence 1. Mortgage, fraud, evidence 2. Identity theft. At 2 a.m., I make the first call. The mortgage servicer's automated system recognizes my voice. I've been their most reliable customer for 6 years, after all. Hi, this is Chloe Morrison, I tell the overnight rep. I'm seeing some unusual activity on account ending in 4,847. Could you confirm I still have full account access? Absolutely. As the primary account holder and payment source, you have complete authorization to modify payment schedules, amounts, or cancel services entirely. Primary account holder. The words taste like victory. I practice conversations in my bathroom mirror. Neutral expressions. Calm responses. How was your day, honey? Fine, Mom. How was yours? My voice reveals nothing. My eyes stay steady. The letter writes itself at 4 a.m., saved in the when folder but not printed. Not yet. Wednesday morning, I call in sick and drive to Westchester. Their house sits like a monument to my stupidity. The pool house I financed. The circular driveway I paid for. I take photos, documenting every improvement my money created. At the local Starbucks, I overhear 2 women. The Morrisons? Oh, they're lovely. I always wondered how they afford that lifestyle on a fixed income. I sip my coffee and say nothing, but I memorize their faces. Thursday brings a small victory disguised as an accident. I call the mortgage company requesting payment notifications go to all authorized parties. Then I modify the mailing address slightly 249 Maple Ridge Lane instead of 247. A simple typo. When the first foreclosure notice generates, it'll arrive at their neighbor's mailbox by mistake. In a neighborhood where gossip travels faster than Wi-Fi, that mistake will be educational. My phone rings that evening. Mom's voice carries false brightness. How are you handling the holidays? I know Christmas can be difficult for single people. Single people. Not daughters we abandoned after taking their money. I'm managing, I say, voice perfectly calibrated. The house looks absolutely magical. The decorator outdid herself. A pause. Maybe we could have lunch in January, just us girls. January. After Christmas. After they've celebrated in the house I paid for. That sounds nice, I lie. Perfect. The caterers are coming tomorrow. 24 guests. Can you imagine? 24 guests. None of them me. After I hang up, I open my banking app and navigate to the automatic transfer settings. My finger hovers over cancel payment. One tap, and their Christmas morning includes a very different surprise. But I don't press it. Not yet. Tomorrow is December 23rd, the day before their Christmas Eve party. The day before 24 people gather in the house I bought to celebrate a family that doesn't include me. Timing, as Mom always says, is everything. I walk to my window, looking out at Manhattan's December sky. Somewhere in Westchester, my parents sleep peacefully in their dream home, confident their ATM daughter will keep funding their fantasy forever. They think I'm a chess piece useful when they need money, disposable when they need space for more important people. But they made one critical error. They forgot that this entire chessboard was built by me. And tomorrow I start playing by my own rules. December 23rd, 6:47 p.m. Their Christmas Eve gathering is in full swing. I sit in my Honda across from their house, watching through floor-to-ceiling windows as 24 people sip champagne and admire the decorations I paid for. Mom moves through the crowd like a queen, gesturing toward the crown molding I financed, the marble floors that maxed out my credit cards. Tonight ends 6 years of lies. I straighten my black dress, the same one I've worn to every family event because I couldn't afford new clothes while funding their fantasy. I grab my manila folder from the passenger seat. Evidence organized, labeled, ready. The front door is unlocked, as always. I walk in like I belong here, which I do. Every mortgage payment earned me this right. The living room falls quiet as conversations pause mid-sentence. Mom's face goes white, then forces a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "Chloe, what a surprise, we weren't expecting." "You," I interrupt, setting my folder on their marble coffee table with a sharp snap. "You weren't expecting me." "I know." 24 pairs of eyes watch as I open the folder. Bank statements spread across the surface like playing cards. 6 years of automatic transfers. $2,000. $200 every month. $158,000. $400 total. "Ladies and gentlemen," I say, my voice carrying to every corner of the room, "I'd like to introduce you to the real hosts of this party." Mom laughs, that nervous tinkle she uses when she's cornered. "Chloe, honey, you're being dramatic. Everyone, this is my daughter. She's going through a difficult time." I pull out my phone and press play. Mom's voice fills the room crystal clear. "We never asked her for money. She volunteered. We tried to say no, but you know how persistent she can be. Really, we were doing her a favor by letting her help." The recording continues. Mom's voice, practicing her lies for tonight's guests. "Some people need to feel needed, you know? It makes them feel important." Silence. Complete, devastating silence. I pick up the first bank statement. January 2018. Chloe Morrison to Westchester Home Help LLC. $2,200. For the mortgage on this house. I set it down and pick up the next one. February 2018. $2,200. March 2018. $2,200. My voice stays steady, clinical, like reading an indictment. April 2018. Pool house renovation begins. Cost: $47,000. Financed through home equity loan. Equity built with my payments. I look directly at Mrs. Pemberton from the country club. "You complimented that pool house at your garden party last summer, didn't you?" She nods, speechless. I pull out contractor receipts. Kitchen renovation, 2019. $31,000. Marble countertops, professional-grade appliances. Wine cellar installation, 2020. $28,000. All paid for with equity I unknowingly created. Dad tries to interrupt. "Now see here, this is fraud." My voice cuts through his bluster like a blade. Identity theft. Financial abuse. 6 years of using my credit, my name, my future as collateral for your social climbing. I hold up the insurance documents. I'm listed as emergency contact on your homeowner's policy. Not as family. Not as beneficiary. As the person to call when you need something. The room is so quiet I can hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. Mom told everyone I volunteered my help, that you tried to say no. I laugh, and it sounds hollow in the perfect room. Would you like to know what actually happened? I pull out printed screenshots of their social media posts. Here's your Mercedes, posted 2 days after you told me Dad's medical bills were overwhelming you. Here's your vacation to Napa Valley, posted the same week you asked me to cover your utilities because money was tight. Mrs. Henderson from next door stares at the photos, recognition dawning on her face. The doorbell rings, perfect timing. Mom's housekeeper appears with an overnight envelope. "Mrs. Morrison, this just arrived. Marked urgent." I take it before Mom can react. "Thank you, Maria." I tear it open and scan the contents. Well, this is interesting. A notice from your mortgage company. It seems there's been some confusion about account ownership and payment authorization. I read from the letter. Due to discrepancies in account management and payment sources, this mortgage is now in review pending investigation of potential fraud. All automatic payments are suspended pending resolution. Mom's champagne glass slips from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. That's impossible, she whispers. Is it? I pull out the final document. Because according to this, I'm listed as the primary account holder, the person who's been making payments, the person with legal authority to modify or cancel those payments. Dad's face has gone gray. Chloe, you don't understand the implications. I understand perfectly. I stand, gathering my evidence. For 6 years, I believed family meant sacrifice. I believed love meant giving until it hurt. I believed that if I just gave enough, worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, you'd finally see me as worth including. My voice rises, carrying 6 years of suppressed pain. But you never saw me as family. You saw me as a resource to be mined until I was empty. I walk toward the door, then turn back to face the room full of people who thought they knew my parents. The mortgage payment that was supposed to process tomorrow? It's not coming. Neither is next month's. Or the month after that. I look directly at Mom. You wanted an intimate Christmas with your real family? Congratulations. You're about to find out exactly who your real family is when the bills come due. I pause at the threshold. Oh, and Mom, that lunch date in January? I'll pass. I'll be busy apartment hunting. Unlike you, I can actually afford my rent. Behind me, I hear Mrs. Pemberton whisper to her husband, "Did you know Chloe was paying their mortgage all this time?" The social poison spreads faster than wildfire. By the time I reach my car, I can see animated conversations through the windows, shocked faces, pointing fingers. The collapse of 6 years of carefully constructed lies. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "This is Mrs. Chen from next door. I just wanted you to know what they did to you is disgusting. You're welcome at our Christmas dinner anytime." For the first time in 6 years, I'm smiling as I drive away from the house I bought but was never allowed to call home. Behind me, their perfect party crumbles like everything built on lies eventually does. And tomorrow is Christmas Eve, their first Christmas in 6 years without my money to pay for it. Justice, it turns out, has perfect timing. The silence that follows a reckoning has its own weight. 3 days after their Christmas Eve disaster, I sit in my favorite coffee shop on East 79th Street, reading the Westchester Journal over my morning latte. Page 3 carries a small but devastating item. Local couple faces mortgage investigation following family dispute. The article doesn't name names, but in a community like theirs, it doesn't need to. Everyone knows the Morrisons with the perfect house and the mysterious income source. Everyone was at that party. My phone has been buzzing for 72 hours straight. Dad's calls, desperate and increasingly frantic. Mom's texts, cycling between fury and manipulation. "How could you do this to your own family?" Followed by, "We can work this out, sweetheart. Come home." Home. The word has lost all meaning. I delete each message without reading past the first line. Some conversations are over before they begin. Through my coffee shop window, Manhattan moves at its usual relentless pace. People rushing to work, to meetings, to lives that matter to them. For the first time in years, I'm one of them. My phone isn't buzzing with financial emergencies. My bank account isn't hemorrhaging money to fund someone else's fantasy. At 2 p.m., I walk into Chase Bank on Lexington Avenue. In my purse, a check I've been carrying for 3 months but never deposited my grandmother Rose's birthday gift to me, made out personally with a note, "For Chloe's future dreams, not family obligations." The teller processes it with professional efficiency. $5,000 into my savings account. Money that will stay there. Earning interest for me. Building a future that belongs to me. "Is there anything else I can help you with today?" she asks. I almost laugh. 6 years of questions about mortgage transfers, payment modifications, emergency loans. Today, for the first time, the answer is simple. "No, thank you, that's everything." That evening, my neighbor Mrs. Chen knocks on my door with a plate of homemade dumplings and news from Westchester. My friend Linda lives on Maple Ridge, she says, settling into my kitchen chair. She says the Hendersons are telling everyone what really happened at that party. About how you paid for everything while they treated you like hired help. She shakes her head, clicking her tongue. Linda says your mother hasn't been seen at the country club since Christmas Eve. Too ashamed, probably. I pour tea into 2 mismatched mugs. The good china was another luxury I couldn't afford while subsidizing their lifestyle. The house is going up for sale next month, Mrs. Chen continues. Forced sale, Linda heard. Something about mortgage fraud investigation. The tea tastes like jasmine and vindication. I don't gloat. There's no satisfaction in watching people destroy themselves, only a quiet recognition that consequences, delayed, are not consequences denied. My phone rings. An unknown number, probably Dad using someone else's phone. I let it go to voicemail, then delete it without listening. Some stories end not with forgiveness or reconciliation, but with the simple act of walking away. At midnight, I stand at my window looking out at the city lights. In Westchester, the house I helped build sits empty now, for sale sign planted in the front yard like a gravestone marking the death of their perfect lie. Tomorrow, I have a second interview for the curator position at MoMA. The job I couldn't take 6 years ago because I was too busy funding other people's dreams. The salary alone would cover 3 months of the transfers I used to send them, but the money was never really the point. 6 years ago, I believed that love meant sacrifice without recognition, giving without receiving, supporting without being supported in return. I believed that family meant accepting whatever scraps of affection were thrown my way, grateful for any acknowledgement of my existence. I learned something different these past few months. Love without respect isn't love, it's exploitation. Family that comes with conditions isn't family, it's a transaction. And transactions, I've discovered, can be cancelled. I brew myself a cup of the expensive coffee, the kind I can afford now that I'm not funding someone else's champagne taste. Outside, snow begins to fall on Manhattan, covering the city in a blanket of fresh starts and new possibilities. My phone sits silent on the counter. No emergencies, no demands, no one treating my bank account like their personal ATM,